Hey everybody, welcome to the Say Report, this week's Say Report. Hey, and I'm Sejohn Sarwick, I'm your host, and my host companion is of course Devin Decker.
Devon Decker.
Hey Devin, you down with O.P.P?
Yeah, you know me. You down with O.P.P?
Every last honey. Alright, sorry,
Well,
let's do
I
it.
really so just for the record, Sejohn not down with O.P.P. On record, Devon Decker down with O.P.P. Sejohn skips to the end of the verse.
Hey,
Chorus,
hey, hey.
it's the end of the chorus. Well, okay, so funk. My parents just got back from Hawaii. I
Okay.
said you would get to do the intro, but they got back from Hawaii on Thursday.
No, it's fine. Apparently we need another one of your downer intros.
Oh, fuck you. This is actually going to be an upper. It's going to be an upper. My parents got back from Hawaii on Thursday. Actually, they got back on Friday because I had to pick them up at midnight, crossing in from the Thursday into Friday. And now that they're back, we had our DVR was full. Our DVR was at 100%. DVR cannot accept any more shows. So we have spent all weekend watching TV that we missed, which means a lot of Halloween episodes that I missed, which has not been fun. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than Halloween after the fact. Like, usually they play those episodes like a week before Halloween, so it helps you get into the spirit.
Oh, Devin. Oh, Devin. This is fantastic setup for what I want to talk about later.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's
sorry.
fantastic. But one of the shows
Foreshadow.
that we literally watched right before we sat down to record was The Bull, Michael Weatherly's new show after NCIS.
Oh man, forgot about that. How's that going?
Oh, I love that show. It's probably it is the hour-long show that I look forward to every week.
I think I'm just disappointed it's not about the bailiff from Night Court.
That everybody's disappointed that it's not the bailiff from Night Court. No, there's not been a single person that I have not brought up Bull with that someone's like, yeah, it's not Richard Mall. Fuck that show. And I'm like, okay, now that we're past that, it's Dr. Phil, right? He's going to be like a close 14th to Richard Mall, right?
A close 14th.
Yeah, close. This is very close. And the episode had Bull. First of all, so this episode's like weeks and weeks old. Like we were behind before they left. So we're catching up on Bull, and it was basically an Aaron Brockovich-esque one, but they tied it in
Fantastic.
with him going back to help his high school sweetheart. She was the one who was sick with cancer from groundwater runoff.
So he was Aaron Brockovich?
Yeah, Aaron actually her son was Aaron Brockovich, and the big conversation in the Decker household was, is he really Bull's son? But shows lack substance, like that kind of substance that would happen in like 90s TV is gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but we're all like convinced that this guy is Bull's son. I'm still convinced that it's Bull's son, and they just were like, but we're not going to talk about it. But the thing was, he's like making her breakfast, and she's like, if I ask you to do something, will you do it for me? And you're like, oh, it's going to get sexy time. They rapped to O.P.P. by Naughty by Nature together. They cut to Michael Weatherly singing O.P.P., which then had payoff, right? Spoilers for an episode of Bull, a show that people forget is a show. The end, they win the case, and then they're gonna have like a victory party, and like all the plaintiffs from the civil suit were there, like with cakes and things to like reward it. And her son walks into the house, and he's like, "Mom, Dr. Bull," and then you hear O.P.P. coming from upstairs, and just his mom like sex giggling. And this young actor did a perfect like I'm about to throw up in my mouth face. And then went outside, and they're like, "Is your mom coming?" And he's like,
"Oh God!"
But it made me think about O.P.P. And the reason that I thought about O.P.P. was not just because I heard the song.
Wait! Did we just wrap up Devin's Bull minute? Do we have to play the outro music for that new section of the show? That's Devin's thoughts on Bull.
That is literally the Bull theme song. right? Maybe it is.
We don't know. Nobody else watches that show but you. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
We're the producers of the show, right? So we're
Oh.
losing money.
And I don't watch it.
No, not you, the Deckers. You executive producer Devon Decker, executive producer Dale Decker, associate producer Dennis Decker. He's not as big a fan. But, sorry, but I then I'm like, oh, I have to record with Sejohn, but I'm thinking about O.P.P. and I'm thinking about a theory that we came up with when we were in college. Do you remember this theory?
The O.P.P. theory?
Yeah, the O.P.P. theory.
No, not at all. Not one bit.
Now the crazy thing
we
is,
came up with a lot of theories in college. To be fair.
Okay, O.P.P. was our generation divide, right? The difference between my age group and your age group was literally if you knew what O.P.P. was, and like we tested this theory to death. Which like what so it really just warmed my cockles is when I sat down and we started talking before we recorded. And I'm like, you down with O.P.P? And you're like, yeah, you know me. I'm like, okay, good. He now knows the song, right? Because of all this investigating that we did to see if the difference between people born in 1996 and 1988 is, oh, that's the years we were born, but which one? Oh, well, it gives it away.
I think you might have said 1996, in which case, sure, I'll take it at this point.
1986 and 1988. I know. I'm all hyped up because I'm sharing theories from from college.
The moral of the story is I'm a wee bit younger than Devon, but not enough where it's ever really that interesting, except for this moment.
Except for in this one moment, which we exhaustively proved based upon the small microcosm at the University of Rhode Island. We asked people in my year, and everyone knew what O.P.P. was. And we asked people in Sejohn's year, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is O.P.P.?" And I just think that's a fun
We found
story.
it though. We found the moment. We found the generational divide is what we found.
Right there. The O.P.P. gap is real.
Between Gen Xers and millennials, like that we found it. It was O.P.P. by Naughty by Nature. That is the moment when you no longer are a Gen Xer.
And now you know. So we have armed you with harmony, and Sejohn, drop a load on him.
Oh God! Why does he open it up with that? Okay. Anyway, so this is good because you mentioned how much you really hate Halloween episodes coming a little late to the game. So I wanted to make sure we got on that boat.
All aboard!
We're just gonna dive into it. I'm not gonna apologize for this. So to wrap up my little like Halloween quest to watch things that are not necessarily outright scary, I have come to perhaps my favorite and possibly the scariest thing that we ended up actually watching in this household for Halloween.
Please say the witches. Please say the witches.
Oh, God, man. No, I love the witches. And that was definitely on my list. And I pushed it so hard. But you know that, like, youngins have no idea what that's all about.
Well, we'll get back to it. I was hoping you'd say the witches so I could organically transition into it. But we'll get back to the witches. So
I'm excited. No, man, we started watching Hannibal, the show. I've actually seen 2/3 of it. I have not seen season 3, which is why we started watching it. Is because I was like, well, I've got to watch season 3, and then everybody's like, well, let's start from the beginning, and I can never say no to that. Like I'm a sucker for that phrasing.
Especially when it's only
Honestly,
3
man.
seasons. If it were ER, and you're like, man, I still haven't seen the 15th season, and someone's like, oh, we got to start from the beginning. Maybe not.
Story.
Maybe we don't have to start from the beginning.
I honestly don't know. I might actually say okay at that point. But anyway. So we start from the beginning of Hannibal, man, and we've been watching through it, and we've just been having all sorts of crazy discussions about it. It was just really funny that I've been thinking, like, we got so into it that I'm like, we're now watching it after Halloween. It's no longer a Halloween thing. This is it. We're just doing this now. And, like, it was funny to me that I finally hit that thing that was Halloween-y enough for us to do. You know, usually what it is for me is there's, like, a month period where I think I'm allowed to watch Nightmare Before Christmas. I think that's the only thing I'm really, like... But it's funny that you mentioned the Halloween divide. That there's this weird moment. Because, like, people will watch Christmas episodes anytime. We had an entire television station that would dedicate a month in the middle of the summer to Christmas, called Christmas in July. Fucking
No,
ABC Family.
it was ABC Family.
ABC
We've
Family.
shouted out to them before.
But they like Christmas any time of the year is fine, right? And like you get the rare Easter special that when it shows up, it's so rare you don't mind watching it at a different point of the year, which is why we were all cool with the Nativity coming out in August. Although I guess that was more factually correct. But anyway, I mean, not the Nativity. What's the other one? The Crucible? No, what's the one
The
where he gets
Passion of the
crucified?
Christ.
The Passion of the Christ. That's the one. Jesus' Crucible.
You know, that one where Jesus has to wear a scarlet letter on his skin.
And the other two musketeers help him off the cross.
Oh my god, I would totally watch a Three Musketeers where where Artemis, Pathos, and Athos. Sorry, D'Artagnan. D'Artagnan is still D'Artagnan, but the Three Musketeers, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. I'm there. I'm totally there. The Three Profiteers.
Oh, God. But which one of them? I mean, Moses has to be the drunk, right? This is going to upset somebody.
Easily.
We shouldn't go down.
Dude, no! I opened it up, right? No, okay. So the easiest one-to-one comparison is, as always, 1993's The Three Musketeers. So,
is that the one with Charlie Sheen?
Is the one with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
Charlie
and,
Sheen,
Chris
Kiefer
O'Donnell,
Sutherland,
right?
yes, but Chris O'Donnell doesn't matter. Chris O'Donnell in this version will still be playing the D'Artagnan role.
And then the last one is. Wait a minute.
I'm gonna give you till 12 minutes into the recording. So you
is it Gerard Depardieu?
No, it's not. That's the
Oliver
man in the
Platt?
Iron Mask. My mother always is like, "Oh, Gerard Depardieu," and I'm like, "That's a different.
No,
that's not
different
called the
group
Three
of
Musketeers."
Oh my God, Man in the Iron Mask though. What a movie! All right, anyway, so is it Oliver Platt or is
It's
he
Oliver
also
Platt. It's Oliver
It
Platt.
is Oliver
You nailed
Platt.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Never forget Oliver Platt.
Never forget. He's so good. I love Oliver Platt. But like, so if we're going one-to-one with that, right? Moses would be Charlie Sheen, Jesus would be Kiefer Sutherland, and Oliver Platt would be Muhammad.
Oh man, excellent. So yeah,
this is the most sacrilegious we've been on the Say Report.
Oh God,
you're welcome for the restraint.
Oh man, we avoid politics.
That's religion. That's specifically not politics.
No, it's political. It's just political in a different sense of the word. Let's get down to basics here.
Let's get down to business. All right, so The Witches, right? Another
We're
show.
Just doing this. Let's just do it.
I'm
just
moving it over, right? Because you seem to be a little squiggly about the religious connotations of the Three Profiteers. Oh God, I want to watch it now.
I'm a little squiggly about the profiteers that are the religious profiteers.
Dude, it has two meanings. Sorry. Another show that we caught up on since they were gone is Me, Myself, and I, which is Bobby Moynihan's after SNL. And it's also appropriate because...
Speaking of Night Court.
Yeah, thank you! John Larroquette, I love you. I love you. Right here. Declaration of love for Sejohn. You heard it here. I'm sure I've said it before on the show. But that show is the first cancellation of the fall. Well, I say
on all
it's the
parts.
What? Yeah, on all parts. Yeah, it's very disappointing. And I think what's most disappointing is the press release was CBS has pulled it from the schedule due to low ratings, but will finish out its 13-episode run at some time.
Oh, ouch.
So it's like, oh, that's fun. That's so fun to read. Those are words that everyone wants to hear.
Wait, but it was CBS though, right?
It was CBS. So the other worst part about it is that if CBS pulls a show from its schedule, more Big Bang Theory.
Oh God.
We'll put that shit on every night.
Yeah, man. If they could just take a big old rake out and just start raking money in the front door, why wouldn't you, right? But like, does this mean that? So I wonder if the 13 episodes will be available thing. Could they be hinting at it possibly being on their app? Because they're like really getting into this whole thing about building their app.
They might. It's weird though, because CBS has done this. So here's a little backstory on Devon Decker. I only love shows that are going to fail. So if you ever hear me talking about a show on the Say Report, don't become attached to it, right? I am recommending that show because I think it is amazing, but there's like a better than good chance that it will end up getting canceled. And CBS has been the perpetrator of this act more than any other channel. Probably because I watch more CBS than any other channel, because I'm 100, right? Because only old people watch CBS.
Old ladies, really, to be more accurate, but yeah.
I don't know. My father really likes it. He just loves
That Dan
NCIS.
Harmon, he's a real smart-looking fellow.
Yes. So it happened a lot with that.
That's not what I meant.
That's not what you meant at all. Harmon Rab?
That's not what I meant. Harmon Rab, thank you. Going.
That's your Jag.
Dan Harmon's also a smart-looking fellow, too, though.
Dan Harmon, I don't know. His beard, a little bit of grooming. I think we go a long way for Dan Harmon.
Some Jag. Sorry.
But, so, like, they did this with the McCarthys, which was set in Boston and was excellent. I'm a huge fan of Laurie Metcalf, though. I will, like, just preface it with that. Oh, my God. That's freaking crazy, because the daughter in the McCarthys was the daughter in Me, Myself, and I. So maybe it's her. Maybe she's the problem. But the McCarthys, they showed 6 episodes and then pulled it. And then over the summer, they burned off all the remaining episodes. And they did that same thing with Angel from Hell, the Jane Lynch show.
Oh, man.
Where she was a guardian angel to Juliet from Psych. Again, they ran 6 episodes and then just burned off the other ones in the summer. So it's something that they've done before, but you're right. Now that they do have the app, it's a place to throw it and just let it die on the vine. Or
I mean, like, imagine the day. I mean, it won't happen yet, but so sorry, Me, Myself, and I. But like, imagine the day when they throw something on the app instead, and it becomes actually popular enough for them to consider
keeping it
reviving
around.
it. Yeah, right.
And it will happen. I mean, eventually, that's their hope. Is exactly that. Is like, if you're right, if CBS were smart, right, and they haven't been at all with their app.
No, not in a lot. No, not with any of their programming, their app. No,
they haven't. Like, they had The Good Wife, which was like a cultural phenomenon, and they just poor management of that show. I can't believe it got 7 seasons. I'll just be honest with you. And then that was their first. A continuation of that series was their first foray into original programming for the CBS All Access app. And then their second one was Star Trek, which really we should throw to your brother if we want to have an in-depth analysis on that.
I mean, I'll talk shit about some Star Trek.
The new Star Trek? Have you watched Star Trek Discovery?
Yeah, let me put it this way. When Seth MacFarlane's making a better Star Trek show than Star Trek is making, we've got to talk Star Trek.
I have to watch The Orville. I still haven't started it. But
we will have to talk about it when you do. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, so Me, Myself, and I, the first episode that we had like waiting to be watched was Star Wars, and it was the middle-aged Alex, Bobby Moynihan. He wanted to show Star Wars to his daughter for the first time when she was the same age he was. As a kid, he wanted to sneak out to a midnight showing of it in 1991, and as an adult, he was going to actually get to go to space. So you know what? Saying the plot out loud, I kind of get why it got pulled from the schedule. It's a little confusing having all that go on in one episode. But they go and see it at the midnight screening of 1991, and prominently displayed behind them is a Witches poster.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, first of all, 1991. Perfect representation. You've won the game. Me, Myself, and I.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought about this kid I knew, Ashton, who did not watch movie trailers in the theater. And I have friends who do that now, but it's to avoid spoilers. He did not watch them because the trailer for The Witches scared him to death as like a 5-year-old.
I can see that shit, man.
Yeah.
Angelica Houston, right? She's the one of that.
Yeah, dude, that movie's all over like scary. Like, and it's a kid's
like
movie.
the makeup work is what I was gonna say on Angelica Houston in that movie is upsetting.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's not just terrifying; it's unsettling, right? Like it just it throws you off for the rest of your life, as is evidenced by
poor Ashton. And it's like. It's also body horror. Like, it's a kid's movie that's about body horror.
Yeah, man.
You don't have a lot of those. So that's
I
just
miss the
so.
days when we could scare the crap out of kids, right? Like, remember People Under the Stairs was actually like a movie that I remember watching as a child.
I remember being like, I'm gonna stay up till midnight and watch Gilbert Gottfried do the midnight horror movie on USA
Yeah, man.
at 7 years old. And my parents were like, yeah, okay, you gotta deal with the aftermath. You
But
ain't
like
sleeping in our
Gremlins,
bed.
like right, like we made
Gremlins
movies
2.
that were
Gremlins 2
scary. It was
specifically.
Gremlins too, yeah. But even Gremlins has its goofier moments that like as a kid you watch and you laugh at. I mean, it's actually horrific, right? Yeah,
Yeah, but
man,
Gremlins 2, I feel like
that's where they
marketing
went full on
really
family
got
movie.
in. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's still scary as shit. Like that Spider Gremlin, like I've talked to people, like new people that I've met, and they will bring up in like the getting to know you phase of the friendship, I am scared to death of the Spider Gremlin in Gremlins 2. And I'm like, that's
yeah,
a
I am
thing.
too. But then I remember the thing that I always remember is that that's the one that Gizmo goes all Rambo on, right? Like
Yeah.
literally goes Rambo on. Yeah. So then I remember that and I feel all warm and
And
fuzzy. So
suddenly I feel okay with it. But yeah, so I don't know. That's thinking about the witches. I know that you had mentioned it, and I was like kept hoping and hoping that you would bring up to the table when you got to watch it as your the Halloween movie that's not really scary, and I could be like, "Fuck you, it is," right? Like
yeah, well,
everybody's
that's
gonna
the
be
problem.
mad at you.
That's exactly the problem is I brought it up and people were like, "No, we don't have to do that one." And it's just like, "Come on, guys." A genuinely upsetting film. Let's do it.
Rowan Atkinson is so fucking good in that movie. That's what I'm going to say. That's the last I have to say on witches before I throw back to you for anything that you want to talk about.
No, man, like so we landed on a couple of really good things. You know, we talked about the Will Vinton stuff and which weird thing about Will Vinton, I randomly popped on an episode of the PJs the other night and he was definitely in the credits as like animation like consultant.
What episode of the PJs?
The
That's
the
what I
pilot.
want
I
to know.
watched I put
Okay.
the pilot on. Yeah, yeah, man. Because I always do that whenever I'm looking for like a new show to get like, well, not old new show to like revisit. I always jump to the pilot just because I know it's a bad representation of what that show eventually becomes, but it's always a reminder to me of like what the shows were trying to be when they first came out. Because like PJs was like super interesting when I was a kid, it was one of the first shows that I watched, and I was like, this show is saying more than it's doing. Right, because it's a lot of like dick and fart jokes. It's all toilet humor, like literal toilet humor, because he's a super in a terrible apartment building, right?
In
Like,
a project.
right, right.
That's what the
So
PJs are.
right. So he's, yeah. But then the whole thing is also just about the idea of that life, right? And it gets really political in moments because of the way that it takes that life to task. And it was just like watching that first episode, and it's actually all about him trying to basically be a mentor for these two younger kids that live in the building, and he like takes it upon himself despite the fact that he's not like related to them in any way. They happen to be in the building, they look up to him as an adult because he's the super of the building, so he feels like responsible for teaching them responsibility, right? And like it was just this really weird deep thing. Now of course it led to a lot of really dumb jokes, like the fantastic moment where he fights a demon coming out of the toilet with a plunger, like like really stupid stuff, right? But like it was really weird watching that and thinking like, man, this show was on a level that at the time I've realized but couldn't truly understand. Like there's no wonder that show didn't last.
It's also Eddie Murphy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Eddie
so let's talk
Murphy
about, like,
is
that had to have been one of the most expensive television programs out there at the time. Because Eddie Murphy is
Mhm.
at the top of his fucking game. And was it like 95, maybe 97? Like,
It was mid 90s,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So he's at the top of his fucking game, right? Eddie Murphy can do no wrong. It's stop motion animation, which
Right.
is not cheap. Jeez, all I can think of, the only thing I ever think of when I think about the PJs is there's an episode where a van shows up to give out flu shots, and
Mhm.
and he stops them from like getting the flu shots, and the arm is all that you have animated from that thing, and it from a speaker on the arm it says, "Fine, we'll just figure out some other way to get your DNA," and I'm just like, wow, that's probably true, right?
That's him, right? Oh my god, yeah,
That's
man.
all I
Like
think of.
it's just yeah, so we did some Will Vinton stuff for Halloween. We did what was the first movie that we talked about here? I'm not gonna remember. We tried one of the Buddies movies, the Santa Buddies movies, the Spooky Buddies, I guess
Oh
is what
my
the
god!
Halloween ones are called.
You know what ones I
But I
hear are
can't.
really good? Santa
Which
Paws.
ones?
The Santa
Ugh.
Paws trilogy is apparently
We've
quite
we've got
enjoyable.
we've got Santa Paws 2. We've got the Dark Middle chapter in this house. That's the one we're gonna watch this year for Christmas. But I have a real hard time watching those movies because all I ever think about is how terrible those animals are treated on those films. Like literally those films. Apparently, like Santa. No, not Santa Paws. One of the Buddies movies with all the puppies. Like like a flu like broke out and like three of the dogs died or something ridiculous.
Holy
Like
shit.
it's yeah, like the animals are treated terribly on those types of movies. It is infamous, and like nobody will ever do anything about it because it's animals, and like not enough people care. Like
Plus, in Hollywood, are the animals treated any worse than actors on the set?
apparently not, as we're finding out. So yeah, so that's the thing is like I can't watch those movies and ever not think of those. So this is gonna be a fun Christmas movie for us to watch. We've got Santa Paws 2. It's called Santa Paws 2 Santa Buddies. I thought the whole thing was that they were the Santa Buddies. I don't know what.
All right, so is that really what the second one's called? So
I think, unless
I
I'm reading the box wrong, which
I'm
is entirely
fairly
possible. 'Cause there's a
certain
lot going on.
that the Snow Buddies introduce. Yeah, that's what it is. Snow Buddies introduces the idea of Santa Paws. And then they gave Santa Paws his own spin-off movie, so it only makes sense that the two would finally come together in Santa Paws 2, Santa Buddies.
Santa Buddies. I don't know, man.
I don't know. It was a long time ago that like someone was like, these movies are like surprisingly deep, and I'm like, yeah, I doubt it. And then I watched them, and I'm like, oh shit, like I'm changed forever. I don't know if I've been changed for the better, but I have been changed for good.
Yeah. So
you're not a big fan of Wicked, Sejohn? You were just like, all right, he's just gonna do it, and then I'm gonna move on. Fuck him.
No. I'm fine. I'm throwing away your Wicked bit. That's what I'm doing.
I'm not happy that I did it. It was just like a plot point in Modern Family was Jay went to go see it with Chaz Palminteri's character.
Yes.
And then, like, their friendship was on the rocks, and then that song happened, and they broke down crying. And I'm like, I never liked Wicked. I don't think I'll ever like Wicked, but I know all the songs.
That's that moment when you realize that you were a theater major. That's what happens.
Ugh, why are you gonna bring that up?
So the final thing that we came around on is we decided we were gonna check out Hannibal. Which have you ever watched that show, man?
I have not. I have not at all. And I think I would. Like, it's not one of those shows that I haven't watched because I'm morally against it or not. I love the character of Hannibal. I've read all of the books that feature him, except for Young Hannibal, because I feel like that's not really him. That feels like a cash grab. To be completely honest.
So this conversation happened, right? As we're watching the show, obviously, like people started talking about like they're whether or not they were even aware of this character, and really background for me was I read all of the books, I've seen all of the movies, and I've seen, like I said, 2/3 of the show. Apparently, the only like thing of Hannibal Lecter that I have not consumed is really just the last season of the show. Other than that, I mean, even including
Manhunter.
Yeah, man, fucking Manhunter with Mary Poppins there. What's his name?
Gil Gerard.
No, no.
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox, but that's not who I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Those are the people who are in that.
No, there's an actor that's on the tip of my tongue, and it's killing me that I can't remember his name
Dick
right now.
Van
But anyway,
Dyke.
let's go through them all. Let's do it. No,
Just name
yeah,
actors.
including Manhunter. I can't. It's his name that I can't. I'm not gonna just sit here and just name actors.
You're the one who suggested that we do that. I was spotlighting your absurdity.
Oh God.
All right, what were we talking about? So
Fine Young Cannibals was that was the one that I had read that you said you skipped, right?
Young Hannibal.
Yeah.
You drive me crazy.
Woohoo. So we're also talking about. But we got into this whole conversation about the books and about like the idea that so if you have never seen any of the show, it was on NBC, and I cannot believe it was on NBC because the imagery that they are able to portray is insane. And on top of that, there is this really weird edge to this show, to a point that I think you may not like, Devin. Actually, I'll be interested to hear how you feel about it if you ever watch it, because there's this like weird element to it. Brian Fuller produces it, where they kind of really embrace this art, this like art subplot that's kind of throughout all of the Hannibal stories. The like Hannibal Lecter is like, you know, this rich upper class white dude, right? So he is clearly in that world of like art and
Yeah, because the books are in like the 90s and the late 80s
yeah,
and the 90s. So
yeah,
nothing said pretentious rich white douchebag quite like I have art.
yeah, exactly, right, yeah. So every one of the books centers around weirdly around a different like art period, and it's very present throughout the book. So like in Hannibal, when they're in France for most of it, like there's a lot of this like old
It's
French.
Italy, isn't it?
Italy, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all over Europe, really, is
Yeah,
what it is.
but
'Cause
it's in
she's chasing
Italy
him around.
where he is the curator of the museum.
Oh, is that the one where
That's
he kills the dude? Yeah,
yeah.
the French detective. That's
The
what it
French
is.
detective is following
Um,
him from when he was up in France, but he's tracked him to Italy, and that's
yeah. So
I
there's
love the Book of Hannibal, the
yeah.
movie.
Yeah, so there's always these weird, like, little important spines to them that are all based in this, right? So I think on the show, what Brian Fuller attempts to do is he tries to bring that into the show in a way, because it's all made up stuff, it's all the stories, rather than have it be the background for where the mystery is happening, it becomes like a real integral part of the way the story is told. So like there's all this stuff that goes on in Will Graham's head, so there's a lot of like visual stuff that happens, and on top of that, there's a lot of stuff in the way that people are killed that is extremely artistic and weird, which has always kind of been the case. But it's just very bizarre the way that Fuller tries to embrace that aspect of like the Hannibal Lecter stories, and it's just really the way it plays out in the show gets so wild, and I can never believe that it was ever on NBC, because I never watched it on TV. You know, I was a cord cutter a long time ago, and that includes just stupid like even antenna. Like I've never had an antenna. Like I've just used Netflix and Hulu for like 6-7 years now. So like every time I watched Hannibal, it was on Amazon or it was online somewhere, right? Like so, I forget that it was actually on television. And when I think about that as I'm rewatching it, I'm just like, man, NBC, like this is crazy. The
Right.
amount of
So I'm gonna solve that problem for you, right? Much
okay,
like Will Graham solves the problems of Hannibal Lecter. It was on Friday nights. It was like 10 o'clock Friday nights on NBC. So you weren't the only person who forgot that it was on NBC. NBC probably didn't even care.
wait
They're
a
like,
minute,
we
it's been
got
on for 3 years. Cut that shit out.
we got that show, right? What? That show based on them movies? What? Yeah, the one that they had the lady and then they had to change the lady in the sequel. What are you talking about? I don't know. What are you doing on Friday? Not sitting at home watching television, if that's what you're going to suggest. I'm saying we just stay in, we watch, and we figure it out. And they see an episode and they're like, we need to fucking cancel this right now. How long has this been going on? Only 3 weeks? That's fine. 3 years? Goddamn. How are we still a network? How are we not? How are we not sued into oblivion by Christian rights watchdog groups?
Oh God. Yeah, man.
You could have jumped in at any time as a character. You
No,
have
I wanted.
improv training.
Sometimes it's best to just watch a master at work. That's all.
Oh, that was so kind. He strokes my ego. That's why. That's why this show happens.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no, I do. It's one of those shows that I'm not a. You know what it is, really? Red Dragon I found at a yard sale at my high school. And like I'd seen that movie and then I read the book. And I'm like, this book is way better than that movie. And then like going up the first time I ever rode the train to New York, I bought The Silence of the Lambs. and I had never read it, and I had never seen the movie. So Red Dragon was the first time I ever got to experience that character living and breathing. And then I read the book, and I'm like, this is better. I'm going to read these books first before I see the movies. And Silence of the Lambs, to speak of 1991, is a fantastic movie. Like, I get it. I understand why that shaped the cinematic landscape of 1990s. That's why we got Along Came a Spider and Kiss the Girls. It's Alex Cross, by the way. Shout out to your brother.
Cross was the name we could not think of. Good looking out.
Yes.
Good looking out.
Thank you, Zach. But yeah, that was, like, I get it. But then Hannibal, that book is so much better than the movie adaptation. And then I'm like, I can't do any more of these. I cannot watch any more of these stories adapted for any type of screen. And that's why I was excited about Hannibal. I was, but I'm like, but I don't know if I can deal with that big a change to his character again. Does that make sense? Is that like an insane thing to say?
No, I get it. And I will say that one of the greatest things about Hannibal for me was I had that same kind of fear, but the thing is, it takes place before Red Dragon. It's based on like one line of dialogue in Red Dragon where they talk about like an old case for a hot second in which he consulted with
Will, right? Yeah, where like that, where they met each other, right?
Right. So they kind of like they offhandedly mentioned this case. So then that's the only thing they really had to go on when they were making Hannibal. And so they build this entire show off of just that. And it doesn't get into any material until the back half. So I haven't even seen it yet. But not even the full season, but the back half of season 3 is Red Dragon. But like there's 6 episodes of that season that are not. So it isn't until 2.5 seasons in that you see anything familiar to you. So in that case, it became really interesting. And like I said, man, it gets so far up its own ass with some of the art stuff that like it really does. Like I love it. It's the kind of bold decisions that probably don't pay off that I'm still okay with. Even when they don't pay off, I'm still happy those decisions were made. I know that there are people out there that watch that show and they're just like, it just got so pretentious in the last few seasons, and it's like it's only on for 3, so I guess you just didn't like the show. But anyway,
hearing you talk about it like this, I'm very excited, especially because I'm not kidding when I say it's fucking mundane as shit when he is the curator of the art museum in Italy. Like it's like you're just reading a book about a guy who's like, I take care of art in this museum, and I really care about it. And I'm like, yeah, but you also killed people, right? Did you kill people? Are you Hannibal Lecter? What are you doing to me, Thomas Harris?
Yeah, you're taking advantage of the fact that I cannot see this character, and I really don't like that. That's cheap writing, Thomas Harris.
Oh, but it works. And the end of that book, the book ending of Hannibal, I fucking love. People hate it, and I think it is one of the greatest things.
Is that the one with the pigs where he... Wait, what?
Well, there's that, but it's the fact that him and Clarice get together.
Oh, the way that they run off together. Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, oh my God. But, like, I kind of get it. He definitely set this in motion in the book Silence of the Lambs.
Well, and so what's really... You're gonna have to talk to me about the show when you finally see it, because I'll be real... Because they take that idea of his need for like a relationship of some kind, and they just blow it out on this show. Like it becomes a huge part of the show, but in a weird, possibly upsetting, possibly really cool way, depending on how you feel about the world. Yeah, it's really weird.
Cool.
It's awesome though.
Cool. Very cool. Very excited.
So about you, Devin? What did you do post Halloween? Because I just did more Halloween is all I did.
Well, you know what the crazy thing is? We've done an episode post Halloween, so the fact that we're talking about Halloween, post Halloween, post the episode after post Halloween, I fucking love us, right? I just love us so much. Movies. I mean, I've just done a shit ton of movies. I finally sat down and watched the original Magnificent Seven, which is just excellent.
Oh,
that movie is so good. Like in everything about that film is good. And like watching it, I'm like, why the fuck would you remake this movie?
What's the matter? You don't like Antoine Fuqua's remake?
Honestly, having seen the original, no, I don't. Because the thing about Antoine Fuqua's is the characters who get 0 character development are the characters who eventually end up dead at the end of the movie.
Right.
and it's like, and I don't know, maybe it's because I had seen Rogue One and I like had understood that this is what movies are doing now. If we're killing a character, we're not going to give you any emotional investment in them, right? Because that's a waste of I'm wasting time as a writer because this person's going to just get murked eventually.
Right.
But then watching the original, everybody has like these beautiful moments of character development, and you're just like, I don't want any of them to die. Why don't? Why
you
does?
mean you mean they introduce stakes for the
Yeah,
audience
like
to be concerned in some way?
I'm like Anton Fuqua was not the guy who's like, I'm gonna kill the Magnificent Seven. Fuck you, '60s cinema. So like I knew that like they're probably not all going to make it out, right? Which is like the best part of the thing is that like their first encounter with Calvera and his gang goes so swimmingly for them. I'm like, is this the end of the movie? Is this what the Magnificent Seven was? We get these guys, we beat the guy, end the fucking story? And then I'm like, no, Bug's Life. Bug's Life is also based on this movie. So they're going to come back. They're coming back. And it worked. Like, it really just worked for me. So I did that. I also watched a movie called Get a Job. Are you familiar with Get a Job?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a movie that they probably should have destroyed.
Oh.
Like one of those dark arts like festivals and ceremonies that you only hear about in the trades probably should have happened regarding that movie. Cuz like it's Anna Kendrick, Miles Teller, Alison Brie, I'm trying to think of other Christopher Mintz-Plasse, the guy, Brandon Jackson. Like, it's Jesus. All of these, like, the cast is freaking insane. Nicholas Braun, less Jesus moment, but Bryan Cranston. You have all these people in this film who, like, are now the creme de la creme of fucking Hollywood, right? The movie was apparently shot in 2012.
Oh, God.
And they like, released it in 2016. It has a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I don't even like care about that shit. But like as we're starting the movie, Verizon does this beautiful thing where they show you the Rotten Tomatoes score. Nice. So we see that and I'm like, and Dale's like, this is a 5 on Rotten Tomatoes. Are we really doing this? And I'm like, yeah, we have to. We've had it on our DVR since they showed it that one time in April. We got to watch it. And probably shouldn't have watched it. Like, if it had come out in 2012, that's fine. You get to see, like, these people really have, they got some talent, right? I'd like to see what they're doing. But after they've already showed off that talent, really the big issue is I think it was the director's first time ever directing anything, and it was definitely the screenwriter's first screenplay.
Oh, God.
Because it is disjointed. Like, there's no sense of time at all.
Like purposely so? Like, is that part of the fun of it, or
no? It's. I mean, if it were part of the fun of it, I don't think it would be a distraction every time.
God, like that's upsetting. That is upsetting.
And the other thing is, like, people get jobs and lose jobs within 2 days in this movie. It's like you're fired, and it's like that was sort of how it was in 2012, but the landscape of that has gotten a little bit better in 2016.
Right.
So, like, even if they had, like, edit in a little thing and be like, the events you're about to see took place in 2012 in the state of California. Like, he's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I buy it now. Because 2012 was fucking terrible for everybody.
Yeah.
Greg Germain's in it. I love Greg Germain. I'm going to just put that on record. I once had a dream that Greg Germain was in a TV show. Literally, I watched a TV show that Greg Germain was in, and I'm like, man, it's a shame that's not a real show. Real thoughts with Devon Decker. So I think that's it. I can't think of any other like movies or stuff that I like chunked through. And Shoot 'Em Up. I saw Shoot 'Em Up.
Oh God, I love that movie.
How fucking good is Shoot 'Em Up? Especially as a follow-up to Children of Men.
Yeah. Oh God, and Shoot 'Em Up is Shoot 'Em Up's one of those movies that has like a weird depth to it because of the whole like Bugs Bunny like background going on there. It's really weird,
dude. It has a weird depth to it because of the whole the fact that I mean, the whole story is that Senator Rutledge, he wants to like do gun control. So the gun company wants to kill off his baby farm where he is producing bone marrow so he can stave off his mystery illness. And then when that doesn't work, right, like there's still a chance that he could be saved, the gun lobby offers him a shit ton of money and he's like, I'm going to run on this platform, but then I'm still going to let him sell guns. And like we watched this movie like days after the incident that happened in Las Vegas. I'm not Las Vegas, in Texas. The shooting in the church in Texas. And it's like, this was a fucking problem in 2007. It's still a problem now, 10 years later. I mean, it was a problem before 2007. But, like, there was this weird... Like, that movie, for all of its other depth of, like, the Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd relationship between Clive Owen and Paul Giamatti's characters, and, like, the music in it is so fucking good. There's also the fact that it is sort of this thing about the hypocrisy of the anti-guns. And, like, we really need to fucking do something.
It's a satire about the anti-violence campaigns and the anti-gun stuff and all of that, like, because it takes on all of that stuff in like a glorious way that only like a comedy of that caliber really can. And the thing is that those kinds of things just don't work for large enough groups of people, you know. But it's basically like watching like a satyr play, right? Like it's just a bunch of people doing really rude, obnoxious shit for 80 minutes, but like with a really important political point wrapped up in it. Like it is crazy.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, the thing that I forgot, and I'm saying this is me forget it, he doesn't ever carry a gun. He never goes into a situation with a gun ready to fight. He always winds up taking a gun off of the people that he is fighting. And there's like a whole scene where he's riding with the prostitute. I can't think of her character's name. And she's like, "Where's your gun?" And he's like, "I don't carry a piece. I don't believe in them." And she looks at him like, "What?" And he's like, I don't think that you need to have a gun. Let me just kill a bunch of people with guns in this movie." And it's like, yeah, but like, oh, wow. Like, what a statement that you're trying to make with this film that, like, I feel like you and I saw.
Yeah, right. It's actually it's always part of my ultraviolet nights. Ultraviolent nights. I don't sit around and just watch ultraviolet
4 times.
No, that does not happen. It is not invited to the ultraviolent party because it is dumb. No, like, but it's up there for me with like shoot 'em up. I love Smoking Aces, but Punisher Warzone is always included in that too. Doomsday. You ever seen Doomsday? It's this Australian, like, well, actually, I don't know what kind of film to call it, because at one point it's a scary movie, at another point it's a fantasy epic, and then finally it's a Mad Max film.
I know the cover of Doomsday, but I've never actually seen it.
Doomsday is phenomenal. It's like it's like 3 movies in one, each one being 45 minutes long. It's like watching an anthology film, all tied together by the zombie disease. That it's ridiculous, man. But it is extremely violent. So yeah, that along with Shoot 'em Up is always a good night.
Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds like a good time. I mean, like, Shoot 'em Up is one of those movies that, like, I want to make sure people see. So from the Cinema Report, go see Shoot 'em Up. It's available. It's 100% available.
Spend that Google Play money you got.
I don't know what that is.
Google Play money.
What is Google Play?
I have a Google phone, and there's this fantastic little app on it where if you answer survey questions, they give you like 10, 20 cents, right? Like, it's not much, but you build it up in your Google wallet. And the best part is you can use your Google wallet to then rent movies. And movies are usually only like $1 to $3, depending on what movie you want. So I answer a couple of surveys each week, and at the end of the week, I can rent a free movie on Google. It's pretty awesome.
This is how Sejohn screws over the system.
I'm not screwing the system. I'm using the system to my advantage to sit around and watch Shoot 'em Up.
I only watch Shoot 'em Up. You should probably buy the movie then.
I only watch Ultraviolet. I save up my Google Play money, and then I sit around and I watch Ultraviolet.
Because it's only $1 to rent Ultraviolet, and I only have about $1 at the end of every week.
So I spend about 60, 70 minutes answering questions, and then I will spend another 80 minutes watching Mila Jovovich try and act.
Aww.
She doesn't try and act.
True. She's in cuffs. She tries to act in cuffs. And then they're like, how about no? Thanks for
You can punch
trying.
things really well, though. You
Yeah.
just punch things for.
How about you just yelling gibberish next to Bruce Willis, huh? You okay with that?
Apparently, that's what the world likes.
I don't. What are we talking about? I had things that I wanted to bring up with you, and all of it has been forgotten for the fun that we have had.
And it was fun.
It was. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this. I hope that you've enjoyed your drink, Sejohn. What was I going to bring up with you? Video games? Sonic Forces? I'm going to be playing Sonic Forces before our next episode.
Oh,
So look
okay.
forward to
All right.
information on Sonic Forces from me.
I'm excited. We need to have good old-fashioned video game episode up in here. Right?
We need to play some good old fashioned video games together. Like
Yeah.
that has been it's been a fun time doing that with you.
Some Japanese goof troop. All right.
Oh gosh. You're a monster. You're a monster. Oh, that's it. I got the 600 power stars in Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh,
That
man.
happened on Wednesday.
So did you unlock Rosalina? Like, what happened? Like,
All right, so so I specifically tailored it so that okay, spoilers for Super Mario Odyssey begin now.
here we go. Last couple minutes of the show. We're going to just spoil the hell out of Odyssey.
So the game, you fly all around the Earth that is their world, right? And the final confrontation takes place on the moon, where Bowser has built up a whole like lava fortress for you to like jump through and have fun. So you get to Bowser, and the same problem from Super Mario 64, where every fight against Bowser is essentially the same thing, but with one more obstacle thrown in.
Yeah.
That happens, and it's like it's cool because it's a fun fight, and you only fight Bowser twice in the game, right? So I'm sitting there like, oh, it's going to be the exact same thing as last time, but it's not like I just did this 20 minutes ago. They spaced it out really nice.
Okay.
So then after you beat that whole thing, you get to take over Bowser's body to escape from the moon temple being destroyed. Which is like one of the coolest parts of the game. Because you're fucking Bowser running and shooting fireballs and having a grand old time escaping from Moonbase. After you do all that, you get the ending of the game, right? And I hate this about games like this. That's when the game really opens up to you. Each kingdom that you've been to before has a moon rock on it that you break. Now, first of all, I think what really upsets me is that those moon rocks are there before you finish the game. Like, you come across them, and the cap's like, oh, that's a weird rock. And I'm like, all right, so that's going to mean something, right? But I'm looking for power moons. Does this mean something now, or is it going to mean something like 20 minutes from now? Spoilers, it means something 20 minutes from now.
All
20
right.
minutes is apparently my count. So you get to go and do those. And then once you've collected 250 power moons, which I had 300 when I finished the game, so I did not get to use that as a milestone marker for me. Once you get 250 power moons, it unlocks the dark side of the moon, which is a boss rush against the wedding planners of Bowser's wedding. There's no health between. You have 3 hit points to try to beat these guys. Like one after another. And that was like the most challenging part of the game, to be completely honest with you. And that was awesome. And then after you beat that, you unlock a king outfit. You get a crown and like a king outfit. And that's a lot of fun, right? Running around as King Mario. Because I put on the crown with the boxer shorts, and I'm like Emperor's New Clothes Mario.
That's awesome.
And I had fun with that. And also, you unlock, as soon as you finish the game, you unlock the Mushroom Kingdom. So we had talked about the week after it came out that I'm like, I think you're going to get to do the Mushroom Kingdom. You do. And there are 3 like settings that are beautiful homages to Super Mario 64, but it's not a full remake of the game.
Oh,
Which
but
again,
it's there.
But it's there. Like Yoshi's on the roof, and you get to do the courtyard where you find the Boo level. And you get to go into the lobby of Peach's castle, and if you look up in the sun, you get a power moon. Like, it's a good time. And then the next amount of moons that you have to collect, I want to say it's 400, but it might be 500. I don't remember. It's probably just 400. And that unlocks the darker side of the moon.
Oh, God.
Because Nintendo, for all of their creativity, they're real big fans of just like adding an adjective before.
The most darkest.
Yeah. So and that's it. The Y600 was a milestone I'll get to in a second. So you go up to the darker side of the moon, and people from all of the kingdoms that you have been through in the game are there, and they're like, "Good luck, Mario! Yay, have a good time! I can't believe you're gonna try this." And so you go down a pipe, and it is this crazy, like, gauntlet-style level that you have to get through using all of the creatures that you've captured throughout the game who change your mobility. So, like, there's a thing as Yoshi, there's a thing as this cool little plant guy who you, like, grow his roots to go high. It's a great time. You get to be a fireball.
That's fucking awesome.
Like, it's great. It's this crazy level, and it's, like, real precision platforming, and when you beat that, like, that's the final challenge. Like, I would say right now that I have finished Super Mario Odyssey because I've completed that, even though I'm sitting at, like, 640 stars, and there are 999 to collect. Moons, not stars. Before Sejohn yells at me again. I'm sorry, Sejohn.
Oh, God.
For beating that,
That's awesome.
You unlock the invisible hat, which makes Mario invisible. And not like invisible like in Super Mario 64. I mean, like, you have his shadow on the ground.
Oh,
So
God.
you
Good luck with
basically are
that.
controlling the shadow. Which, like, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of wish I could go through the game like that, because I've done Legend of Zelda Link to the Past as the invisible Link, and that was a fun challenge. But that's it. So that's the thing. And then why 600 becomes a thing is there are achievements in the game, but not like in the PlayStation 4 method of it. But Toadette in the Mushroom Kingdom, she's an archivist, and once you hit certain milestones, she gives you a power moon. So literally the first time that I talked to her after beating the game that first time, she gave me 21 power moons. Just for like stuff that I had done while playing the game. Like, buy 5 hats.
Gotta
and
get them
things
moons.
like that, and collect X amount of moons. And the last milestone connected to moons is collect 600 power moons. So that's it. Like, I'm probably going to try to get to 999. But there's a jump rope game where you need to jump rope 100 times. I can't get over 70.
Oh, God,
I feel like
that
that's
hurts.
going to be my wall.
Oh, yeah, jump rope. Do they sing while you do it? Does it really?
No.
Do they,
Oh,
do they
that'd
make
be-
fun of you when you fall?
They're just like, oops, well, take a step back and you can try again. And I'm like, I really don't want to. I really don't want to do that.
That's gonna be the killer, man. That's what's gonna take you out.
And I've done like all the other crazy challenges, but that's the one that I'm sitting at. Like, I have to jump rope 100 times. And like, I'm not there, so I'm not feeling it. I'm just watching and like trying to. It's crazy. But it's a good game. I've enjoyed the game. But like I said, people are asking me, is it the reason to get the Switch? And no is unfortunately my answer. As much as I've loved it, as much as I've enjoyed it, and the reason why I say no is it fucking sucks in handheld mode.
That's disappointing. That's so disappointing. That's the whole thing with the Switch. All right.
Right, and that's why I say it's not the reason to get the Switch. Because when you're playing it docked and you're playing it on a TV, the game fucking pops and is vibrant, and like you want to experience everything that it has for you. When you're playing it in handheld mode, it's none of that. And there's a lot of motion controls, but they don't really work when the two things are attached to the screen.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. So that's really disappointing.
Other than that, it's a great game. It fits in with the whole 3D Mario landscape. But yeah, there are those parts from Super Mario Sunshine I don't like where they take away, here's this mechanic you've used the whole game. Go fuck yourself. Taking that away from you. And the things really do feel like galaxies from Super Mario Galaxy because of just how different they are. Like, it doesn't feel like one big cohesive world. It feels like you're going to different galaxies. And that's it. Those are my like final thoughts on Super Mario Odyssey. which I like completed and will still be playing, but Sonic Forces is on the horizon. I need to finish Pokemon before the new Pokemon comes out. And I think that's it, right?
Yeah,
Goof
man.
Troop, Japanese Goof Troop. We'll be doing that.
Yeah, and also, the witches, man. Man, the witches.
Oh, God.
Think about that before you go to bed tonight. That's all. That's all I want to say.
Think about the witches. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Say Report. I've been Devin Decker. If you want to yell at me on Twitter, I'm at Devin D. Decker. And again, I am down with O.P.P.
And I have not been Devin Decker, and if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me at Siege versus the World on Twitter. Yeah, man. You know me.
Will, drop a load on him.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devin Decker and Sejohn Serwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.